segment of the show, which is going to be about Joel Embiid and his injury update. And right now, I'm just quickly pulling up the quote on exactly like what he said and like what he wants going into this season. And he recently said that Joel Embiid hopes to come back this season. Like he wants to recover as quickly as possible and continue his historic NBA season and help the Sixers and going into the playoffs, obviously, and whatnot. But do I think that's the best move for Joel Embiid? Do I think that the Sixers should try to force him to come? Well, not really force him to come back because he wants to come back. But do I think that the Sixers should help him and like speed up the recovery and whatnot and try to get him back? So that's a little bit complicated. Like I'm stuck in the middle with that because on one end, I really, really despise it when players sit out for absolutely no reason, and not really no reason, but like for minor injuries. Because like I grew up watching Kobe Bryant, and Kobe Bryant would play through broken finger, he'd play through sore left knee, he'd play through anything until he couldn't walk. And going from that to players who will literally sit out because their right shoulder is a little bit sore, I think it's a little bit weak, and I really don't agree with it. So I like how Embiid, like, he wants to hurry up and come back from his injury because it, like, helps his team win. And, like, if you just sit him out for the rest of the season, it sort of, like, shows a losing attitude, and which might sour Joel Embiid's, like, opinions on the organization. However, at the same time, Joel Embiid is not one of those players that's really had a good history with injuries, especially in the postseason. Joel Embiid, the only healthy postseason that Joel Embiid has participated in is the bubble in 2020. And that was only 4 games. So he was only able to stay healthy for 4 straight games. And like they got swept in that series. So it didn't really end up mattering much because like Joel Embiid was on the lineup, right? But like they still got swept. So like, but that's another story. But again, like trying to rush Joel Embiid back from like this type of injury that's this severe, I think it's like, considering his history with injuries, it might not be the right idea to rush him back. Like, he's always injured. A lot of people like to call Anthony Davis like the glass man, and like because he's made out of glass, but that energy should shift to Joel Embiid completely. Like, honestly, like, he's always injured in the postseason. Always injured. And now you're trying to force him back from a major injury, and you expect him to like be all right going into the postseason? Like, really? And personally, I don't think the Sixers should rush him. I think they should just stop Embiid for this entire season. Like, he needs his time to recover, and they need to not force anything with Joel Embiid, because if he comes back and he gets hurt in the postseason, that might be a career-ending injury that he's going to put himself through, which not only affects his NBA career, but now it's also going to affect his Olympic career, seeing as how he was just confirmed as one of the names that's going to be on Team USA. But especially, like, if the Sixers were the 1 seed before Joel Embiid got hurt, then yes, I would 100% understand trying to get Joel Embiid in the lineup as quickly as possible. But the Sixers, they weren't even with Joel Embiid, they were not in anyone's mind. Like, in terms of the teams that were going to make the Eastern Conference Finals, the Sixers aren't one of them. Nobody was expecting. I mean, granted, like a lot of analysts, like they were expecting Joel Embiid to like finally make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I wasn't one of those people. So we're gonna talk about my opinion. Like I wasn't one of those people that thought the Sixers were going to make it far in the postseason to begin with. I personally, like even with Joel Embiid, I think that they're just a second round team, and they just can't make it far. I don't know what it is. It's just they fall short every single time. And it's really disturbing every time with Embiid, and it's really disturbing because it's like he's so good, but he can't get over that hump. So I don't have faith in them making the Eastern Conference Finals with Embiid. Like even if Joel Embiid was healthy now, I don't think they would make the Eastern Conference Finals because the Boston Celtics, they are already by far the best team in the NBA right now. Like right now. And the gap between the gap in the 1 seed with the Eastern Conference, I've talked about this before, is so drastic. Like, it's a 7-game difference. And with that in mind, and the fact that every single postseason the Celtics have beaten the Sixers, I really don't think that the Sixers have much of a chance of making an Eastern Conference Finals appearance with Embiid or without Embiid. So, with that in mind, bringing him back, or like bringing him into this, like back from injury, I really just feel like they're rushing it and they're wasting they could waste an opportunity. Not really waste an opportunity, but like they're just rushing him into a lost season, I guess you could say. Yeah, they're rushing him into a season that's already lost, and from that standpoint, I think that's not the right move. However, as an organization, you have to ensure that your players are happy, right? So if Joel Embiid wants to come back from this injury and he feels like he's good enough to come back and play, I feel like the Sixers should listen to him, because if they don't listen to him, then his opinions on the organization are already sour as it is, and he's already said that like he would consider not re-signing with the Sixers if like things don't end up panning out the way he sees them. And with that in mind, it's like if they decide to not play him at all for the rest of the season, he might get a little bit upset at that, and it might sour his relationship with the organization. And you do not want that to happen. You do not want your best player to have a bad relationship with the organization, especially now when you're not going to have him under contract in a few years or like really soon. So if they don't keep him happy, then we might see Joel Embiid leave the Sixers. And personally, I really think that he should leave the Sixers anyway. Daryl Morey there's actually, now that I think about it, before I say this, a lot of NBA players are saying that Daryl Morey is a liar, and that because he's a liar, obviously, you don't want a GM for as a liar on your organization, obviously. And what I mean by him being a liar, James Harden said that he lied to him about what I believe he lied to him about was not giving him the supermax that he wanted on the Sixers. He lied to Patrick Beverley, saying that he wasn't going to trade Beverley, and he ended up trading Beverley over to the Bucks. And now recently, he lied to Chris Paul. Chris Paul has just come out saying that he wasn't going to trade, on Houston, he wasn't going to trade Chris Paul to OKC. And look what happens. He ends up trading Chris Paul to OKC. And Daryl Morey's response to that is, it all happened so fast. We have someone in the chat, Crucial PG. Hey, look who's back. Daryl Liar Morey. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that because I can't, but NBA players are saying that about him. So it's not a really good look that 3 players are coming out now saying that Daryl Morey is a liar. So with that in mind, that might like already like the organization is like already a little questionable just because of Daryl Morey as the GM. And if the rest of the organization decides to like just completely bench Embiid for the entire season, like because that's what I think the best move is. But if Joel Embiid wants to play, like I'd say like all right, let him play, because we don't really have that many players that would like want to come back from a serious injury like that. So if he wants to come back and he feels like he can help the Sixers win, I think they should listen to him, because if they don't, he might threaten to leave them going into the next season. And then if you're the Sixers, where do you go from there? Because like the Sixers are already a team that is like stuck in the middle, because it's like they always do well in the regular season, but when it goes into the playoffs, they always don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Always. And I don't understand why sometimes, because they have all the tools and they have what they need to make it out, but they just don't. And it's a little bit frustrating seeing like someone as talented as Joel Embiid not make it far into the playoffs, and like literally be the only MVP in NBA history to not make an Eastern Conference Finals. Like, that is ridiculous in my opinion. And like obviously he needs to fix that on his resume, and he needs to fix that by playing. So, but with that, actually before I be done, all right, Crucial PG said in the chat, Doc Rivers, and what he means by that is that like the reason why like the last previous years that the Sixers weren't making it far was because of Doc Rivers as their head coach. And Doc Rivers, like, and you guys know my opinions on Doc Rivers. He is notorious for like for blowing leads, and in the playoffs, in the big games when it matters most, he's blown the most 3-1 leads out of any coach in NBA history. And I believe he's blown the most 2-0 leads as well, and 3-2 series leads as well. So obviously with that reputation as the coach, it doesn't really help the Sixers. But at the same time, again, the Sixers weren't really doing much like before they got Doc Rivers. Like in the bubble, Doc Rivers wasn't their head coach, and they still got swept by the Boston Celtics. So it's not entirely Doc Rivers' fault. Even though, yes, he did play a big part in blowing those games, he did play a big part in not doing enough like adjustments for these games, and part of it is Ben Simmons being on the team. But with that, we're out of time for this second segment, so join me for the third segment as I give a quick recap of all of the games that went down last night. And if we do have time, I'll talk about some of the games that are going to happen tonight going into the weekend. So I will be right back after this short break.